Mike, Iron Mike, that if we hosted nationals again, we'd know a lot of things to do differently. We wouldn't serve Chick-fil-A to a tab room that was being politically correct. We would use different buildings. We would have done a lot of things differently, but that's part of the experience. And she was talking about how proud, that she was of how all of our two districts came together and really hosted a pretty good national tournament. And of course, the Wichita people did that a number of years ago too. And that's something to be proud of in Kansas, that we've hosted a major deal a couple of times. And, it's something that I think you can say is kind of cool, because there are not a lot of people lining up to host that. And to be able to do that, I don't want to leave anybody out. Turner High School was helping us. I don't want to miss somebody that's in the back, but we did a great job, and you guys should be really proud of that. We're going to go to a baseball game. Last home game of the season for the Royals against the Tigers.
Last regular season home game of the season.
There we go.
And so that'll be a lot of fun, and you guys should be very proud of that.
We want to open this up. Comments, reflections, where you are. Some of you are just starting out. Some of you midway through your career. Some of you are on the downside of your career. Things you want to pick our brains, what brains we got left.
Well, I'm on the downside of my career.
Yeah, but you're on the upside of your retirement.
I guess, I don't know.
That's right.
Did you ever determine whether it's okay to use a chair in DI or not?
That's one thing that perplexed me for years. One year, Pam called me, and we were going to the district tournament in forensics, and I had a small forensic squad. And she said, we need one more DI to qualify, 2 or 3 or whatever it was. And I said, I've got a girl. She needs the credit. She'll come do her DI. Well, the girl went, did her DI.
Flowers in the attic?
I don't remember what it was. It probably wasn't very good. But
Was it the one that qualified?
No. This was a bad one. But she used a chair in DI, and that was a crime. And I didn't know that. I wasn't a DI coach. I didn't know. But this one coach filed a protest, which meant the girl would be kicked out of the tournament, which meant they wouldn't have enough qualifiers. One of the kids wouldn't qualify. And did the girl break the rules? Yes. Were these guys defending the girl? Yes. and it was cool. And this girl I knew really well. And I said, just follow my lead. And I went up to her and I said, you have cheated. You have violated the sanctity of the National Forensics League. I will call Jim Copeland tomorrow and tell him about what you've done to this activity. And she was really good. She was like, and walked on out to then, and remember the protesting coach was like, I didn't want you to do that. And we all laughed about it later. You guys let her stay in. You just said, no, she gets the last ranking, but she's still a participant. That was cool. I had the only debate team that has ever had 3 downs in an NFL tournament. In debate. No. That wasn't in the qualifying round with the small numbers.
Oh, okay.
I had a team of 2 novices. We were out to beat Cindy Burgett because, that was fun. And they went into their first round. They were 2 young kids, and they ran a case on, what do they call it, the micro chip kind of.
Oh, you ran nanotech.
Nanotech. They were running nanotech on retirement security. They were going to inject these things into old people, and it would make them young. And it was actually a big affirmative that KU was running that year, college debate. Anyway, so we lost our first round. We went in the second round against Cindy's top team, ran our nanotech case, and won on a 2-1. But they went back and questioned the judges why they would vote for this case. During the third round. And found out that these judges were confused and they really meant to vote negative. And they called the national office And we debated in the third round, of course, and won. And so we were 2-1, but 1-2, and the national office said, this was back in the day, the Lawrence team loses because it had 2 downs, the Washburn Rural team loses because it had 2 downs, and the Emporia team that Lawrence beat in the third round gets to debate one more round and give them a medal, and they can go home. And everybody went crazy. Everybody went crazy except me and my sophomore boys. And James Copeland showed up with only the thing he could do, and he said to all of the people in the tab room, he said, I have a master's degree, I believe most of you do too. Why is it that you can foul up something so badly? Which was like throwing gas on these people. And it was, yeah, that was a team that went out. And the boys were like, does this mean we don't have to go back on Saturday? I said, stay home. You created enough trouble with your nanotech. And yeah, those were cool days in NFL when you called the national office. You might get Albert Odom on the phone.
Just had to
Yeah.
pass that night.
Any other feedback, questions? Sean?
I have a question. This is kind of in the vein of get off my lawn, but I would like to know is like what trend or anything that you three see that just irritates you that we are doing now. It doesn't, I mean, like not a rant about technology, but is there something that has changed or that we're doing that you're like, you guys are doing this the wrong way, or why are you being stupid?
Specifically to which event?
Any.
Well,
When you do that.
I'm gonna tell you
You
that,
just threw fuel on the fire.
and I won't make this tiring or anything. I'm gonna tell you that I don't particularly like the way that teams today approach debating on the negative. I think all you do is make the ground more complicated and more difficult to decide. I always tried to get the kids not to debate in a contemporary way on negative. Sometimes I was successful, sometimes not. And so those teams were successful really whether they did what I told them to or did what I asked or whether they did what they wanted to. But I think that's more of a testament to the capability of the kids than it is the capability of me to influence them. But I just happen to believe that debate's really simple. It's supposed to teach reasoning. And reasoning isn't a very complicated process. It's called claim, data, warrant, backing. And I think that most of you, or most of the amounts that I see anymore, have claim and data, and that's it. The warrant's in the card. No, the warrant that you've got for that thing is the guy that's here is an expert and can predict the future. That's your warrant, and nobody ever questions it. Why not? I guess I'm just a dinosaur. And backing, well, he has a degree from Stanford. So do a whole lot of other people that aren't really very bright.
The eardrummer. Yeah.
That's what I object to. Now, Raph, I'm gonna tell you, I had kids that debated that way. I didn't like it, but what I tried to do was make it so that they'd at least make it a well-reasoned argument. And I don't think the way that it rolls out in rounds anymore on the negative is necessarily well-reasoned, because when I get the responses to link arguments in the second negative, the responses are, here are 7 more links. I don't need more links. I need to know why one of them's good. I don't know. I never get it.
I guess the thing that's irritating for me does link to debate, both policy, LD, and public forum. I won't go to congressional debate, but thank you for adding that as well. I hate it when kids make me the decision maker because they do not know how to close or seal the deal on the arguments that they're making. And when you allow me in as that random bullet, because I can be that random bullet, because now you've allowed me to be the random bullet, is a bad thing. Because you may not have viewed that debate round the same way, through the same lens that I have. Mark has always said, I'm tabula rasa. I know for a fact that's wrong. I know where his sentiments lie in terms of stock issues. And one of the things that I always did with the kids that I coached, and Mark was sitting in the back of the room, I knew what he wanted to hear and would tell those kids that. If they did it and they executed it well, Mark rewarded that. If they didn't do it, he penalized them for not having done that. So the best advice that I can give, and we all know we can't control what's going on in the room because we're not sitting there watching the debate unfold. But adapt to that person in the back of the room. I get irritated. I have a paradigm sheet. We all have carried paradigm sheets around at various tournaments. Kids will read the paradigm sheet and then they won't do anything regarding that paradigm. That's bad decision making to start with, whether it's a single judge or a panel of 3 judges.
One of the questions that I ask kids when they ask for my paradigm sheet, I said, okay, here's my paradigm sheet, you're gonna read it. What would you do differently as a result? And you know what most of them say? Well, nothing. Then why are you looking? Do your stuff. Do your shtick. I'll try to evaluate it. That's it.
Other,
Extemp quotathons. I'm not gonna count your quotes. Big deal, you quoted 6 sources. You probably made up 4 of them. Give me a speech. That's mine. I hate extemp right now.
Yeah, extemp right now is not very good.
Rafferty liked throwing that one out though, didn't you? Probably worked on that one for 30 minutes.
yes,
As a new coach, does the feeling of I have no idea what I'm doing ever go away?
I think
It
that
will.
lasts with you for as long as you coach. Because the one thing that happens is there will be an event that happens, and you're going, I never anticipated that. Well, what are you going to do about it? It's got, God, I don't know. No, it never goes away. What happens is the stuff that stupefies you to where you're going, I don't know what I can do, just changes.
I would say learn from your mistakes and learn from others and adapt what works for you. You know, teachers are the great plagiarizers in the sense of we take things from our colleagues all the time. And I think many of you know that my cutting have been open, my drawers have been open, that you could come copy cuttings. Well, I use that metaphorically. I know how some of you think in this room. Oh, you'll beat me with the kid, you won't beat me with the piece or the cutting. The drawer's open, you help yourself.
Steve even used one of Pam's cuttings.
Yes,
Act like you did know what you were doing. A couple of years ago, I don't know if we were going like 8 different places one Saturday. And I'm standing out in front of the school, like here's a bus, there's a bus, there's a van, and we're going. And I left, and the bus was supposed to go to Baldwin. And I don't know, it was a district bus. And I saw a mom on Sunday or something, and these 2 boys had won the Baldwin tournament. But I didn't think they'd gone. And I'm like, these 2 didn't go to Baldwin, you're wrong. And it turned out that 2 boys didn't want to go. They got another team to go in their place and didn't tell me. And so they just got on the bus, and the sponsor didn't know them, and they won the tournament. And so when I came in the building, and the principal said, I saw we won first place at a tournament. that neighbor. We're good. I don't know who they were, but damn, the kids are pretty good.
Any other, yeah, Zach?
If you can do anything different with your career, what would it be and why? I mean, that's obviously.
I have been accepted at KU to work on a PhD, so if there's one regret, it's the regret that I did not do that and teach at the collegiate levels at some time in my career.
Well, there was a night in August of '86. And another in the spring of '90. But I don't really want to
Right.
There are things what I tell you is, if somebody asked me, what would you do differently? It would be learn quicker. I tend to learn things by scars. I mean, I have to get beat up, punched, cajoled, physically injured, mentally something or other. Sometimes, in order to wake up. It would be nice if I didn't have that quality. Unfortunately, I can't change it. It's just kind of the way I am. I learned by somebody hitting me over the head with a hammer.
I think what goes along with what I would seriously trade is over the last 5 to 10 years, I've had a completely different attitude. When we lost to somebody, I thought it was because we were bad or we hadn't worked hard enough or there was something flawed with us. And while we can always do a better job, I've started trying to get through to my kids. You are debating, you are competing against the smartest kids from Wichita, Manhattan, Garden City, and these kids are national merit semifinalists. They're going to be doctors, lawyers, politicians. They're the cream of the crop, and losing to them should motivate you to work harder, but it should not be embarrassing. And it took me a long time to try and, because I don't think my kids over the last few years have been nearly as bad a sport. They don't get upset when they lose, and I think that's a message we need to give our kids is, you guys are not debating against, really bad teams. In some cases you send a good team to a weaker tournament, but for the most part, your really good kids are debating other really good kids, and they ought to, get better, but they shouldn't be embarrassed when they lose. And I think I mishandled that early in whatever.
Any other questions? Are we adjourning? Yeah. Joe, do you want to add anything from having retired twice? Any kind of reflection? I know, but I'm going to ask him again. Other than he spends more money.
No, I don't have anything to add, and you're going to hear me and Pam tomorrow, but I would like for all of us to give these guys a round of applause.
The only thing I'd add is open invitation to the lake. You want to come down and spend a weekend at the lake? I got a house with 4 bedrooms, 2 docks, 24-foot boat, 2 decks.
And a dog.
And a dog, well, actually 2 dogs and a cat. And I think I've got the most unique cat at the Lake of the Ozarks because we give our cat Frank a lion cat.